You value the confidence. Wait. Once upon a time, back in the so in my time, I used to say that the teacher would come through and say once upon a time. It's just tomorrow's folklore, stories not yet sung, and legends that are working with us as we navigate this life journey. So, as the sage and Asian, sometimes wisdom has a LinkedIn page nowadays. It has an Instagram, it has a LinkedIn page, and I'll give you the handles after this so that you're able to go check them out. And tonight's stories, luckily, they don't require commission. They need you sipping on your tea, sipping on your wine. Because as we know, the Madlanga Commission, things get hectic. People will be going siakala manje, and then they'll be telling tales that you don't want. Tonight's stories are just truthful and about the panelists sharing their journey through this. Now about why we're here today. So tonight is a precursor to our main event, which is on the 21st of March, where we'll be having Vusi Tembegwayo as the keynote speaker. The theme is Build Beyond, and it's a youth seminar sponsored by Alliance Insurance Company and Standard Bank, and we're in partnership with the market. And the tickets are limited, so make sure that you get your own immediately. Don't say that we didn't tell you in advance. The tickets are quite limited, so make sure you rush there to learn that. And tonight we'll be listening to the brilliant panelists that I have with me here on stage. You'll hear them talk. You'll get a chance to ask your questions there on the live sections on the floor there. You'll be able to interact with them. And they're going to be the authentic selves about who they are. And the authentic currency matters nowadays, and would like to hear what they say about themselves. My name's Teele Taole. By day, I oversee product management, pricing, and product development for the best insurer in the country, which is Alliance. And by night, well, let's not get there. But you can think about what I do there. But yeah. But simply tonight, above anything, what I hope to do is to earn the privilege of your time. And by so saying, let me introduce our first panelist for the day, Mpho. They say the best ideas are born over a good cup of coffee. And our first speaker took that quite literally. She's an entrepreneur. She's a creative visionary and the owner of Indulge Cafe, which is a coffee and kitchen place. The praise that Lesotho can have a good coffee culture in the first instance. I've been there many times, and I can guarantee that if you haven't been there, you need to visit and enjoy that coffee and enjoy that breakfast. Mpho, over to you.
Thank
you. A big applause, please, to bring it on.
I don't think my mic is on. I don't know if I'm audible, but I don't think I'm audible. Okay. My mic is not on. It is. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. I have to disclaim, I did not know that I'm an entrepreneur, even though I've been in the field for almost 9 years until recently, and I hope I can share why. But my entrepreneurial journey, ikadile around 2016 after I did my undergrad in business administration. I came home and I opened what then I called a beauty parlor. Okay. And the first phase of my entrepreneurial journey, it was based on a perception, now what is entrepreneurship? Okay. In that phase of my life, entrepreneurship to me was a means to an end. Okay. I perceived entrepreneurship as my alternative. Okay. It wasn't a career like it is for me right now, but that's essentially what it was at the time. Okay. I did this for about 3 years, 3 to 4 years. In retrospect, looking back, it did work, but in reality, it didn't. Okay. From running a beauty spa, I went on to open a fitness studio. And that phase of my entrepreneurial career, I like to refer as I offered a product. Okay. And I still emphasize that I thought I was an entrepreneur, but I'm realizing as I grow older and as I look back, I wasn't really in the field and the career of entrepreneurship, because all that I did, as good of a business as that was, the only thing that I was offering at the time was a product. Okay, fast forward to the lockdown, took a break, my business took a big hit. And after that, I had to decide, am I gonna go back to the product or the service that I was offering, or am I going to be at this stop sign and decide whether or not I'm gonna take another leap? And that was the birth of Indulge. And the funny story about Indulge is that I really was at a crossroad to say, are you going to take the little that you have left to try and resell this product? Or are you going to stop and reflect and try to see if you can try something else? I must add, food has always been a big part of my plan. Okay, I didn't know when it was gonna come, but I did know that it was gonna come eventually. And that time didn't necessarily feel like the right time to start, but it felt like the only option. Rather than going back, I decided to create Indulge, and that's how Indulge was birthed. I say that I realized that I wasn't an entrepreneur for many years until of recent, because I wasn't operating like an entrepreneur. At the core of who I was an entrepreneur, but in my actions, I don't know if it makes sense, I wasn't moving like one. Okay. And it had to take me the roller coaster rides, going up and down, and also being very persistent with not exploring anything else. I could have gotten a job. I could have done a lot of other things, but there was this persistent and there was this hunger to try and really try and find, what is it? What is it about this place that I just keep gravitating back towards? So I did go pursue my studies. A couple of years ago, I asked myself, what is separating me from a business like Alliance? And I know it seems like I'm an over dreamer, but the question the underlying question was, why is it that I cannot get there? So I went to do my postgrad in business analysis, and I realized, instead of operating I went to do my business analysis postgrad, and I realized, most of the time we operate like spaza shops. So there's no underlying systems of how we're running our businesses. So luckily, that was during my transition into Indulge. And the more I ran Indulge, I told myself that I'm staying here and I'm not going anywhere, irrespective of the challenges that I'm going to face, which are basically every single day of my life. There's a challenge that I have to try and navigate and overcome. I was very persistent to say, I'm not going anywhere until I grow this business and until I get to a place where I understand what is this entrepreneurship. Lastly, I did decide this year that I'm going to pursue my studies and do a master's in entrepreneurship. And I'm realizing now that I truly am an entrepreneur. And I guess that's just the short and fall of who I am and how my entrepreneurship journey started and where it is now.
Thank you very much. I think that is quite inspiring. I was making notes as you were speaking, and I could sense the passion. And I'm understanding Indulge to be a story of intent, a story of perseverance, and there's passion there. As you were mentioning, you've always known that you are going to go to food. There are lessons that you are bringing in from your previous, business, from your failures, which is, I think, one of the important things that we learn to say, okay, you bring your failures with you as lessons that move you on. And I'm also appreciating that you're bringing the element of your postgrad education into a toolkit that you are using in your everyday business. And I think it's quite an important essence in terms of as we are starting our business to say that, okay, there are toolkits that we need to incorporate. There are elements that can help us move beyond the spaza shops, because it's nice to see a story of a spaza shop move to be something beautiful. And I'm happy that there's a revelation now that you're speaking of, that you see yourself, that you're an entrepreneur. One question before I move over to Thato is that, okay, given that Indulge is the story that we have defined of intent, it didn't exist, and it did for you, right? And you've talked a bit about the moment you decided to build it, right? Is there anything that you're most afraid of at the time?
I hope this will make sense, but I think I like to describe myself as someone who is without fear. Okay. But one of my absolute biggest fears is disappointing myself. Okay. Is not seeing things through. And I've seen myself several times get to the point where I don't see things through. And I think for me, it's not that I'm living in the fear of not seeing this through, but I think that is one of the things that's constantly finding residence in my mind to say, are you going to see this through? So, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's please give her a big round of applause once again. I think, thank you. Now, the next panelist that we have with us today, she's from banking. And, in the past, banking used to mean those long queues that you'd go to. You dreaded being sent to the bank to go and withdraw money, or to even go there, even to open anything at the bank. And our panelist is changing that story. She's the acting head of personal banking. She's a champion of growth, and I can attest to that, having worked with her a bit. She's a digital innovator and very keen on inclusive financial solutions, which is a key element in terms of our country and the spaces we find ourselves in as developing countries. And she's making sure that banking in this country works for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, please let's welcome Ms. Thato Mathule.
Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. So you want me to introduce myself and tell my story? I have quite an interesting career journey. I started my career 10 years ago. I started as a graduate trainee at another bank, not the one that I'm working at currently. But I just wanted to point out that A lot of times when I tell my career journey, people always make the guess or assumption that I studied something in BCom or BA. I am a qualified mathematician and statistician. So yes, so then the question is, how did you end up in banking and not solving for pi or something, creating something in a lab? Well, I got fortunate when I finished my honors in operations research, which is a study of optimization, but from the maths perspective. That I got an opportunity to be a graduate trainee at one of the big banks here. And from there, I moved into the product and pricing space. So that's where I got to work with different, I would say, business partners in the organization to create new products, optimize the existing ones, and work on tabaya pricing to see that we're actually gaining the revenue that we're meant to gain, and also we're giving value back to customers. So that was my second job rather. And then from there, my boss at the time was like, I think you have potential to do more for this organization. I moved to sales. I became a sales manager, looking after productivity across all the branches and sales teams in the organization where I was working. And then while I was there, I started getting a bit of an itch. And it's funny because a lot of people, when they talk about me, they're like, corporate chameleon. And I'm going to explain why. I got an itch to say, I need something new. I need to expand my knowledge a bit more. So the first thing I did was sign up for an MBA, mainly because I wanted to gain business acumen, given that my academic background was so technical. So I wanted to gain business acumen. And also in that journey, I changed to another company. So I've worked for a total of 3 companies. That's not much. I know people who've worked for like 5 in a span of 10 years. So I worked for a different company, switched from banking to still in the financial services, but it was a telco. I got a job as a commercial manager, which was more around marketing and putting our solutions out there. And that's where I got the real feel of what it actually means to drive digital inclusion. And then I got an opportunity to come back into banking, which is where I am now. So yes, my role written there is acting head of personal banking. I'm currently caretaking the personal banking portfolio. Personal banking, ka mo ke sebetsang ka teng bankeng e putso, ho na le batho ba tshwarang dikarete tse putso le tse silver ke batho ba ka bana le batjha ke batho ba ka bana. Private banking ke bana ba qetang ho launch ntho e ntle mane ne ba dikarete and other things. So I deal with the mass market. So that's why I have a big passion for ensuring that we get solutions that mean something to our people, that they reach a lot of people at once. Because when you deal with mass market, we're talking about people who work in formal and informal sectors. We're talking about our youth who are just trying to figure out what does it mean to to grow and be an adult and be a functioning member of society. So yeah, that's my career journey in a nutshell. I think for me, I always want to highlight that those moves weren't just me moving because I was uncomfortable or anything. I'm very hungry to learn. I'm very hungry to grow. So any opportunity I see that gives me the opportunity to learn and grow, I will always try and take it. And also along the way, I've learned so much about how this nation and the people in here operate. I've met so many different types of people as well. So I always encourage people to look beyond where they are now and think about where they could be in the future. So that's how I treat my career as well. I don't put myself in a box. I might work in law as well. Who knows? Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Meta, about that. I should add that I'm also sound. Oh. Thank you. Am I audible? Yeah. Sorry about that. We're just trying to fix the sound. Thank you. Okay, I'm used to this one now. This is the ones that we use that we're used to. No, thank you very much, Metato, about that. I should add that her Jane is a bit similar to mine. I was listening to her thinking, wow, I'm also a qualified mathematician and statistician. And I'm now in products, like I said, and pricing. So who knows? Maybe I'll be leaving my company to go to the third one soon. But all right, you talked about your manager challenging you, and which was something that you took up. You also talked about a topic that's quite frankly in my heart in terms of inclusivity. You talked about the segment that you serve, and you talked about the youth segment, which is primarily moving from being unbanked to being banked in essence. And there's a lot of challenges there that are coming through. So I think in terms of inclusive finance for you, which is a big phrase I think that we're using, but inclusive finance for you, what does it actually mean to you on the ground? Because I think your experiences now, having been in the market, having walked on the ground, like you said in your previous, you understand the lives of the everyday Basotho that they're living. You understand the challenges that they face. So can you briefly just expand on that to say, okay, how does it then translate? Thanks.
Thank you, Ndati. Sorry. Thank you so much for that question. So it's clear inclusive finance or financial inclusion is a big agenda, not just for our organizations where we work, but it's a national agenda, right? And for me, if I'm to put it in simple terms, in terms of what I understand, it's really about going to where the people are, making sure that wherever you are, in whatever space you work in, wherever place you live, you're able to access financial services. So financial services are important because they move the economy. Our economy is moved by money moving back and forth. So you want to make sure that every single person has access to that. So on the ground, there's a number of challenges that we have. We have challenges around infrastructure. We know that a lot of our people who live in the rurals, as much as they are connected, there's still connectivity issues, right? Our big banks aren't able to build the infrastructure in terms of putting branches and ATMs everywhere because of the cost, right? And then on top of that, the other aspect that I think we tend to take for granted is our people's level of literacy when it comes to understanding what they can have access to, what they deserve to have access to, and how they can make the most of what they have access to. Those are some of the challenges. So I know one of the other challenges is just making sure that we align in terms of what government wants to happen from a financial inclusion perspective, what the central bank wants to happen, and what we are able to do. I do think as financial institutions, we can still push ourselves further. We do have our constraints in terms of the amount of capital that we currently have to roll out these things. But I think right now we are living in a time where we have a great breeding ground for us to collaborate as different organizations to bring services closer to people. I'm sure that we can somehow find a model that would work to bring alliances services closer to Basotho where they don't have to go to. I know one of the issues that Alliance has is, but police. So then go back, no, you can patala ka other services that exist, whether it's mobile money, whether it's bank accounts. So it's that aspect of us having to educate our people as well. And unfortunately, one thing we have to now come to terms with is we can't educate them by sending an SMS. We can't educate them by just email. We need to be there in front of their faces, showing them how they can do these things. And that's why it goes back to Dabaya being where the people are. So financial inclusion, I believe, is not just about the products, the infrastructure, the pricing as well, because we need to make these things affordable. Financial inclusion is making sure that everyone can afford these services. But what is important is we have to go to them and understand, well, what services do they need? What services do they have access to that we can optimize? And who do we need to collaborate with? Win-win situation, because, in the corporate world is a bit tricky, but like putting business cases and use cases together for us to collaborate to bring the services to the people, bringing use cases such that if there's laws or policies that we need to think about, either central bank or the government, so it's a collaborative effort. We can't expect Alliance to do it alone. We can't expect Standard Bank to do it alone. However, it's something I'm very passionate about, because if there's one thing that I've noted is Basotho are the most resilient people. They will find a way to make it work. Ke rona, e se le ho rona hore re ba thuse, re ba enable ho etsa jwalo. So yeah, that's my thoughts on financial inclusion.
No, thank you very much. Please give her a big round of applause. Thank you. I think you can tell that our panelists are passionate about their stories. And these are stories that are of the Basotho people, because everyone here is a Lesotho. They've been born and bred here in this country and in this environment, but they are here today to discuss those things that they've learned and how they articulate and also translate to us as a nation. Our last panelist is firstly a father. I know he is very proud of that. So the law is many things, as they say. It's a shield, it's a sword, a language few really speak. One of my favorite authors, I think it's one thing I would like to ask him one day when we meet, is that he said, first, let's kill all the lawyers. That was Shakespeare at the time. And looking at the Madanga Commission, I think we started to understand why. So our next speaker speaks the law every day. He's an admitted advocate in the courts of Lesotho, and he's still a member in good standing of the Law Society. And he is the head of legal compliance and also the company secretary for Alliance Group Holding Insurance Company. Thank you very much. Let me hand over to the good doctor, Dr. Teele Taole.
Thank you, Ndate. Thank you, LP. That is a wonderful introduction. My name is Teele, as you have rightly mentioned. I've been fortunate enough to study every law degree that there is to be offered. that's a privilege. I studied LLB at the National University of Lesotho and moved to SA to do my LLM, which is Masters of Law. And after that, I did my LLD. Realizing that I was passionate about law, that's one of the reasons why I decided to pursue from LLM to LLD. I then decided to do board governance with the University of Johannesburg. So after doing my LLD, I did board governance with the University of Johannesburg. I was also fortunate enough to work for 3 law firms in Lesotho. That was immediately after completing my LLB. I worked for 3 law firms. After that, I joined one of the banks for 2 years. And then I moved to Alliance Group, where I'm currently serving the legal department and the legal compliance and serving the board as the company secretary. So in a nutshell, I know the ladies have spoken a lot. In a nutshell, that's about me.
Thank you very much, the good doctor. So you have defined this journey of, and PhD is a scary thing. Most of us are even afraid to touch that thesis and go and defend it there. So you have that red gown, which is quite inspiring. Not many people are able to reach that, and I think we should applaud it whenever we see that pursuit of excellence. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Now, you were first in the law firms, then you moved from the law firms to banking, and then you moved from banking to, and I understand that in banking that's where the money is. Then you move from banking to the insurance space, and in essence, you were starting on a new path there. So you were starting, I think, where you were combining 3 divisions overall, in terms of 3 insurance companies and other markets, right? So you moved into a field in terms of your professional journey, and how does that translate then to building what previously existed in your field? Because I think you managed to combine around 2-3 roles in terms of also spanning more than 4 organizations to go and building that department, I think, from scratch to where it is today. One last thing that I forgot to say is that the good doctor, I think, is an avid marathon runner. He runs 42 kilometers, and I never understand those people who say, how are you chasing the wind for 42 kilometers? Sometimes 5 hours, but you're just chasing the wind. But that's him. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, LP. As I mentioned, my journey, which is why I think this theme resonates with me. My journey has been about building. Um, when I started working for the law firms, um, there's a couple of things that you learn when you are fresh from the university. You learn the art of client management and high performance, because that's what is expected of you as a lawyer, to be able to serve clients very well. So from serving clients, you are able to advise them from outside. Then I transitioned into the banking space, where now I was now operating from inside. Where instead of now advising people from the outside, I'm now the one that is who is being advised. And then came a defining moment in my career, which was building something from scratch, which is what you have alluded to. I started when I first got to Alliance, there was no legal department. That's where I started. That was a defining moment in my life, because you know there were no legal structures, there were no processes, governance processes, and excellence was no option, but it was a must. Yeah, it was a must for me to perform excellently, because, and at the same time, I was coming with this LLD degree that people expect you to be performing highly. So that has been the defining moment where I had to be resilient. I had to come up with strategies that help this organization to ensure that it's able to compete within the market that it is operating within. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you very much, the good doctor. Let's please give him a round of applause. Thanks. Mpho, we've talked a lot about strategies, and sometimes I know we say that there's this saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? And the biggest element that I've seen in terms of challenges that we're seeing in businesses, or even in our personal day lives, is execution. So we had creative vision. We had other businesses that you indulged in, and then we came also to indulge, right? Where does the discipline come from to pursue and to ultimately come and build what we have?
I'm gonna have to be quite honest and say, there's no shelf where the discipline is hiding, and I just go and take it out of the cupboard and wear it every single day. Discipline is manufactured. I think that's the right word to use. It's important that you manufacture the discipline, because you don't just wake up with the willpower to do what you need to do. So there's many ways that you can kind of achieve the willpower to be disciplined each and every single day. For me, at the core of who I am is, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I waking up in the morning? Why am I going to serve coffee? Why am I giving people food experiences? That's where the discipline for me comes from. And looking at what it is that I gain I gain in the future, that's for me the core of where my discipline comes from. The second thing is that we have motivation everywhere we go. We have our Instagrams, we have motivations everywhere. Motivation is at the click of our fingers, but motivation doesn't guarantee discipline. Okay, so in order for you to overcome that, you need to create systems. And what is systems is have a routine, so that on the days that you actually don't have the motive, the willpower, you've created a system that actually operates even in your absence. As Mpho, I'm here physically, but my mind is not here. But because I've created these systems, the habits, and I know we get this talk about building healthy habits, those things are not just talk shop. They really work. Create systems, create habits, create routines. For now, what does my day look like every single morning? Whenever I get home, okay? So it's very important. I think the last thing for me is I'm a sole trader. I'm an entrepreneur who does life basically alone. Yes, I do have support of friends and family here and there, but they're not there with me when I'm in the hustle and bustle of entrepreneurship. And I think the most important thing is to hold myself accountable. Nobody's policing me each and every single day. So if I'm not policing myself, what do I stand to lose? So that's where my discipline comes from. So you have to wake up every single morning and manufacture that discipline. It looks different across board. It looks different to someone who's in corporate. It looks different for someone who's an entrepreneur. It looks different for someone who's an athlete. It looks different across board. You need to identify now, how am I going to manufacture the discipline? Yeah.
No, thank you very much. I think that is quite a stoic and profound way to put it, and I hope those lessons are things that we're able to carry in our everyday. And Thato, for you, I think what I would like to know is that the digital space, it sounds exciting, right? Innovation sounds exciting from the outside. So, what has been the hardest part of championing such solutions? And I think to add to that is, what's the most exciting part of it for you that you see?
Hey, okay. So I love this question. So anyways, the hardest part about digital innovation, I think maybe I can just paint a scenario. Thato, I've noticed there's an inefficiency in the way we probably process an application for a customer, right? So I go to my boss and say, I think if we can do this way, using digital, it will give us this much gain in terms of revenue, and also client experience will improve this much for the customer, etc. He says, okay, go ahead, let's build a business case, do it. As I'm building the business case, what do I notice? Maybe requires I build something on the system, right? The system, it's a legacy system. So what does this mean? It means we have to build something new or build on what we have, right? What does that mean? Money that we probably don't have from a capital perspective. Okay, let's say somehow we get the capital and we actually get the improvement done. Now we have to go to the regulator. And the regulator is like, I don't understand. How this is against our laws, this is against our policies, right? That's the other hurdle that we have to cross, demonstrating that the risks we can mitigate the risks and comply, all of that. Okay? Let's say we cross that hurdle, the regulator approves. Now I need to get buy-in, right? Leadership buy-in, first of all, because they say this is something that doesn't just touch in my area. It touches across the whole organization. I'm just making an example of a organization. So there's a leader who's just like, but the old way we were doing things was just fine. You understand? And then fine, let's say I get past that. We have leadership buy-in. Everyone is happy for us to go to market, right? Fine, we go to market. Our customers don't take it up, right? Because, for instance, maybe they don't understand the solution. Maybe it doesn't exactly speak to or maybe the way we positioned it doesn't make sense. We didn't spend enough to go to market. Let's say we do. Let's say we get, people are loving it, they take it up, it's bringing a lot of value. Now we have to take it to staff. The people who are meant to sell this and then they just like, so all that goes back to Tabania culture. So there's so many layers in terms of getting digital innovation through. It's not just me waking up in the morning and saying, improve a process. It's a process in terms of ensuring that you have the right buy-in. You factor in the culture perspective, not just internally and externally. You factor in the risks, regulatory, and also just internal systems risks. And also in terms of you're clear on what exactly it's meant to solve and what value is supposed to bring to customers. So, processing. Now that is the exciting part. Actually walking that journey, of course, through proper governance, through proper governance process, walking that process is actually so exciting, especially when you work with dynamic people. When you, I've learned that you need to fixate on the problem and not the solution. So when you really sit and dig your feet down to say, okay, I realize that my customers aren't taking this up. What needs to happen? What is the problem? Why? You keep asking yourself why. And then you take yourself through that process to the point you get an end result. That is the most exciting part. Now, to speak specifically about digital innovation, I'll just talk about the innovation journey. And, I think we're in a very exciting time right now because the infrastructure exists. It's just, of course, challenging ourselves to actually now think of how we expand and make them more user-friendly for our people. But then it goes back to the position around how do we bring them to where the people are. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, but I really think the opportunity lies in collaborating, honestly speaking. But yes, that's my thoughts.
No, thank you very much. I was listening to you, and I heard you define some of the building blocks to the solution as you are mentioning it. I think the first element is that one of you challenge the old ways as a way to say, how do I innovate? So we innovate in our companies, in our workspaces to say, let's try and challenge the old ways. And of course, through compliance and governance, taking that in. And also, I think one of the key elements that we have seen that you touched a bit there was for people that are dealing with products and services. If you are selling your product, it's important that you educate people about the value of your product, and then so that ultimately then it can lead to the rewards that you foresaw. So those are, I think, some of the building blocks that we take away to say, how do you then ensure that your solution gets to the people in the right way, and then they're intended in terms of how they are receiving it and their understanding of how we do those things. And to you, the good doctor, and after this, Mpho, I think we'll open up for the questions on the floor and for online questions. So for you, we have young people watching you. And I'm afraid to say your age. I don't want to tell people you're still 20-something. But what are the tips that you can give in terms of navigating the professional space? You've been through, I think, 3 different kinds of environments now overall, and in terms of where you are, you managed to combine that as well as navigating the education. So what tips can you give to the young people there who are still coming up?
Thank you, LP. Well, my advice would be that, as young people, where you place yourself now determines how far you will grow. I'm saying so because growth doesn't happen by accident, where we position ourselves, or the way we must intentionally position ourselves today for the opportunities that we want tomorrow, because most of the opportunities that we get tomorrow are a result of the environments that we place ourselves in, even I think the habits that we cultivate in those environments. So if we are able to place ourselves correctly today, that will help us to grow. So in order for us to grow, personally, I believe there are 3 key pillars that you need to be mindful of. That's competence, your professional competence, ensuring that you share your skills, your knowledge, especially in your current role. That's the first pillar, ensuring that you are competent in what you are doing, ensuring that we know that LP is there and we know that LP can deliver. The other key pillar is, aligning with the right people. What I would say is the strategic relationships that we build, because the relationships that we build can either limit you or make you grow. So you can decide who you associate with. You can associate with your mentors. Your mentors have experience. They are going to share their experience with you. They are going to guide you. They are going to help you make the correct decisions. Even your ambitious peers, not just peers, your ambitious peers, because they want you to grow with you. They will also challenge you. So make sure that you choose the right relationships, when those which I say are strategic ones. Yeah, Also, we have people who are also called the sponsors, those who advocate for you in rooms when you're not present. They will say, we know LP can do this. So those are strategic relationships that you, as a young aspiring professional, you must intentionally position yourself to ensure that you have them. And lastly is personal development. You must continuously, develop yourself to ensure that, you always grow. I believe that your university degree is not enough. I've made my example of myself to say, even after obtaining a D, I still went further to study. Even as we speak, I'm still studying, because there's always a reason to learn. There's always an opportunity to learn. So if we are able to sort of not wait for opportunities for us to grow, but cultivate our growth, place ourselves intentionally in the right positions, that will help us to grow. So that's what young people should do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the good doctor. Let's give our panelists a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you. I think we'll open up for, and I'll be guided here by the team. I'm not seeing Mpho Phakoane. I'm not sure who'll be helping us there. We'll be taking questions from the floor. And you can ask any of our panelists, the three of them. And then beyond that, we'll take some of the online questions if are there. And yeah, so I think we'll take 3 hands for now, and then they'll note them down, and then we'll answer them as a group. Thank you very much, Mpho Phakoane. The first question I see, Onosomufil.
1, 2. Oh. Thank you, Ntate. Would you allow me to speak in my mother tongue, please?
It's not the Basutla. You want to spastele the school.
Ke a leboha ntate. Lebitso la ka ke Joseph Ntaga. Ke mametse ka hloko ditaba tsa lona. Na kena ho ntate. Potso tsa ka di tla ho mme ba babedi. Wa pele le wa bobedi. Wa pele ditaba tsena ke di utlwile. Ke kopa ha ke theoha sefolo sena o ko re fe na o ikutlwa ho le jwang ha ekare bekeng ena wa fumana sales tsa hao di phahame, bekeng e tlang wa bona di tropile hampe fela. O ikutlwa ho le jwang? E o tshwara jwang taba eo? The second panelist, amara di 25, 26, 27. Na wa robala. Because mosebetsing wa hao ho tla Basotho ba bangata ba fitlang ba ema letsatsing ba etsa line tse telele, and ntho e ke tseba ho tloa bonyaneng baka. Now you are here le wena e le go batho ba fitileng ka pela hao e ba qhadile. So mo ke dutsing ke tseba matla a alliance ke re na o a sitwa hore o kgetholele alliance hore batho ba di femeng motho ke Standard Bank ya ke jwale kgetholela alliance hore wena alliance a ko etse tjena a konke di feme tsa maseru fela jwale ebe alliance e o thusa ka o tlosa line eno e ba mono city mono le ane e bang cathedral batho bana ba patalwa ke alliance jwale wena o fe alliance ranta o kon thusa na ha ntso etsa ntho tsena tse o di buileng tse monate tsena tsa gore come you tell this one boss this o hlolwa ke go go alliance nthuse ka bana ba maseru fela then wena ke tlo fa load patala batho ba so e le hore ka tsela e system e tla etswa ke alliance se haile system tsa yona tsa o patala batho e ke o thuse o imolloe ke a leboha morena.
Ke mogolwane ga mainwane ke sebetsa mo Africa FM. Ke kopa ho qala ka Mpho What makes an entrepreneur? How does one graduate from being a hustler that sells a service or product to a fully fledged entrepreneur? Without going into in-depth analysis, what systems have you put in place at Indulge Coffee that have led to its success? Ebe ke fetela ho met Thato. A lot of small businesses are set to fail within the first 3 years. As head of personal banking, how do you support the youth and informal sectors to go into formal business like Indulge Coffee, taking into consideration that this target audience of yours lacks collateral more than anything? Ke a leboha.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if there was another hand, but I think yeah, they're asking that they should start answering the questions. Ladies, over to you.
Ke kgola karabo ya ka e tla kopana batho haeba o utlwa e sa o tla nkopa hore ke iphete hape karabo eno ya potso e botsitseng. Potso ya pele ne re na kgwebo ya ka ha e entse 5 ranta bekeng ena, bekeng e tlang e entse 200, ke ikutlwa bang haeba ntate ha ke o lobe. I think ntho e kgolo e re tlameha re utlwisise ka entrepreneurship. I'll speak specifically about entrepreneurship. Kore entrepreneurship e ke be ya tshwana Lesotho, ya tshwana South Africa, ya tshwana mose. Okay. It feels like the same model, but we can't apply the same principles. Okay. Ha re fihla dibakeng tse fapaneng. Okay. With that being said, ke sebeditse hae monana lemo tse 9 ke itshebetsa. Se ke tseba hore na batho ba nang le tjhelete ka nako e feng ya kgwedi. Okay. So ntho e bohlokwa haholo ho nna ke ha ke le motho wa kgwebo, ha ke kgwebo ka product. If you remember, ke buile ka my second phase of entrepreneurship when I was running my business. Ke itse I was providing a product, I was providing a service. But the blind side that I had ka nako eo ke hore ntho e ke tlamehang ke provide ke solution. I mean, it's to solve a problem. Okay, I need to create a solution. Meaning, solution eo ya ka ke yona e tlo nthusa hore ka nako ene ke tsebang hore Basotho ba na le tjhelete ke tlo maximize. Okay, so does it affect me? Yes. But does it keep my business sustained? Yes, it does. So I don't know if you're waraba, but the feeling is that the business is sustained throughout the month because I'm well aware of the problem in IT solving. When is my audience going to be able to need it? And how much can I maximize during that period of the month that it can sustain the whole month? I ran away.
So I think
Okay, I think the most important thing that you need to understand is that I have a monthly target. I have a monthly target of what revenue I want to make at the end of the month. I don't have the willpower to decide how it's going to come. I go back to the drawing board to look for now, why did it drop? I think feeling is a bit.
yeah, I think the feeling part. So what in our language, you're cruising nicely there, and then cruising wonderfully. and then all of a sudden there's a shock in the business, right? And I think in essence, some of the shocks come unexpectedly. We have the fluctuations that we expect in terms of your mid-month, all of those things. But when a business has been performing well, then it suddenly closes. Maybe it's about that feeling that you get once the shock hits. And then I think you had answered more in terms of how then it would feel that way you translate and then try and recover from that position. So I don't know if you can describe that vulnerable, I think, a bit moment in terms of the business essence that people can relate.
Kiakola, I don't want to I want to remove emotions out of. I don't know if the response that I'm supposed to give is emotions based. Okay, so for me, logically, it's about what do I do rather than how do I feel. It's a you hit a brick wall. It's not about what I feel. It's about what do I do next. And I feel like the response that I'm expected to give is to say, I feel sad or I feel like I've failed. But for me, I remove the emotion so that I'm not blindsided. Because if we have the emotion and the business, for me, I think that's where the big sink comes in. And I've learned that along the way to say I've had businesses that have failed, and I've seen how putting emotions over, okay, blindside me from strategically thinking, well, now how am I going to go over this hump? So unfortunately, I feel sad or I feel angry, but it's like, I feel like I need to do something to solve this problem.
So I think I quite get it that you have developed systems that of anticipation in terms of the movements and the businesses, and also I think there are response mechanisms in terms of that. So I think we can move on to the next question. I know that Ntaka is now happy with that response.
I don't think.
No, he's happy. He's happy. Happy. There he is. He's happy. He's excited. Yeah.
If you can just help me with that question again.
So maybe we can come back to that one. Take Thato and then we'll come to the second questions. Yeah.
Didn't talk about the strategy sa bank. I get but what I can say to you, what's the biggest challenge, King? First of all, similar to what Mpho was saying, Lesotho, we are a payday economy. When now from the 20 all the way to the 30, it becomes there's a slump, right? That's not to say we're banking on and twins every day, but to a service every day, but to a two, so maybe we'll talk a loan, talk a savings, online banking, how I say it. So now we're busy all the time. It's just that kind of say no, how we are about to buy and back about about fail. When I was service but one about when I get what we've been trying to do, and I think Lauka research as a general problem, what we've been trying to do is obviously talking to them who is me kufile karete in a layer bundle uka swipe. Mosotho utlisisa ho reka kapa patal ili cash. So how le ka mo hlalosetsa hore karete enan gives you access to it gives you access to your money. O hloka fela ho e sebedisa o kenye pin. Ntse bana le ntwe tshabang, ntse bana le ntwe sa utlwisising. We've tried not we've tried, but I think the industry in general, we put in solutions that re kentse di wallet, re kentse hore motho ha le ShopRite ya khona ntsha tjhe. So many different things. One re utlwisisa hore hona le market esa tlo utlwisisa solution eno esa tlo batla go e sebedisa. Ba hloka, I guess, further education. Kapa go utlwisisa hore na keng e tla ba thusa go ya mono mo re batlang ba e teng. Mosotho ka nnete utlwisisa tšhelete le cash. We are a very cash-based society. But ka nnete go raise as much as the line tse ntse di utshosa. How ka tsana di fokotseile jwang? I cannot look at the numbers every day. I look at the numbers every day. It's just a matter of but as a nation, re nne re ba thusa ho utlwisisa hore na di-solution tsena tse ba kore di na le molemo wa eng ka nnete. It's a challenge, but we'll get there eventually. I do agree there's more that could be done. I absolutely agree with you. Do you know the cost of actually managing cash is actually way worse? Way worse. But yeah, unfortunately, it's a thing we have to deal with in terms of, first of all, re ba thusa ho utlwisisa ho di sebedisa. Jwale ka wena ke re wena ka karete ya hao ya gold, wena o sontso o tseba hore wa swipe. Ka nnete me dirontsho ha ke ya nthong ka difemeng, hona ATM mono ke etsa campaign ke bo bontsha hore kopa o ye mona na karete ya hao o ntsana le ntwe tshabang. So re tla mo ba thusa hore ba be more educated ba utlwisisa hore these solutions are there to help them. They're not there to steal from them, but it's a journey that we're taking. There's other things that we've put in place to sort of go fokotsa di lines ba ntse ba digitize. So, and as a Standard Bank, Alliance, like I said, as a society, we have to really work on educating our people on digital and mulimoya.
Thank you very much. I do accept, as you are saying, that I think we need to find collaborative ways where all of us in the financial sector, we find a way to help our people. Because I think for most of us, the passion is that it's nice when you see it, whatever education you've had, have an impact in your own society, have an impact with your own people, because there's no better feeling. I think the next question that was for you was the support of small businesses that have no collateral. And I think there's a quite nice question that Rama Union has put to you there. Yeah, so...
Per se. So I think in the personal banking space, we want to better financial discipline. But ho bohloko ha motho a apply a loan, let's say, and or maybe has sustaining cash flow ya high handle jwalo jwalo. But your question would be better placed for someone who's in the business banking space. My job is to ensure I have solutions for people who are either in the formal or formal sectors who manage the finances. Collaterally, it's something that we have to sort of reform as we go. On our side, informal, hana qualify like a big business loan. So how do we bring them lending solutions that will work for them? Unfortunately, we are governed by very strict regulations in terms of how we borrow. I know there's a question mark there. There's different types of lenders. As a banking financial institution, we are very heavily regulated there. We are very obligated to borrow responsibly. So the best that we can do is educate our people on how to manage their accounts better so they have access to finance, but also the people who are, let's say, informal or have inconsistent incomes, bring solutions that access to chelete. Ne ke bua ka batho ba ka ba enang ditjhelete tse nyane ke utlwe hore next sebetsa le batho ba jwang. But then as people start advancing, obviously ke taba eno the discipline ya hore ba manage financials tsa bona hantle, the income tsa bona hantle, such that they can now move ha se ba bula di business tsa bona, they can move on to the business banking side to get support. Thing is tricky taba ena hangata as banks we do require collateral, and it's also by virtue of how we are regulated, by virtue of how our systems are put in place to ensure we safeguard tjhelete ya Basotho. Because ha re kadime tjhelete tswa moeng ke tjhelete ya Basotho, o hloka le wena ha o hloka tjhelete ya hao e o e tsetetseng bankeng e kgutle. So we're very, very disciplined in terms of how we manage that. But it's a conversation we can have over a glass of wine. There's a lot to unpack in terms of what we can do.
I think the last part is getting the most applause. Just to add a bit in what you were saying there, I think we need to start building that culture of saving even 100 Rand as businesses, as a people, right? Because some of the criterion of lending, as Thato was alluding to, in terms of how much are you saving on a monthly basis? We look at they look at transactions, they look at how your bank is behaving or how your book is behaving, and across all institution of financial services, that's what they are looking at. So if you're a small business, it doesn't matter informal or not, try starting saving as little as 100 a month. Start there as a challenge. You start by the smallest amount you can do, and that's how you do it. And you know, when you say these things, it's as if we're speaking of them now, but they're biblical in an essence, because it's there that you need to save. It's there that you need to have something for the rainy day. So I think the challenge can be, let's start there. As the conversation, there's the solutions around how we find other ways for collateral. I know in other countries they are getting there in terms of how do they navigate those spaces. We're not there yet as a country. It's a more of a holistic thing, as you were saying, because it also involves regulators accepting those forms of collateral that you can do. You can go as far as things of societies, of elements of groupings where people have tried that. There's a nice case for developing countries like the Grameen Bank, but those things evolve and there are learnings that can come through into our societies. But the first one, let's start saving as a bit and then see how we can start then approaching our banks to say, hey, look how I've been behaving. Can we find a way to help me towards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Then there's a conversation starter for all of us. Okay. We are going to go to the online questions. I think there's one of them, and I think we're about to close. So, okay, we're going to have two, and then the floor. We're going to have a round of questions for the floor, but I'm going to start first with the online ones, and we're going to just take two from online, and then we'll go to the floor, and then we'll be closing the sections for the questions. So the questions is from Deborah Mathule. So, and he says, here's my question to the esteemed panelists. I need to make sure that I get that right for you. So as young people in Lesotho, how can you leverage social media platforms to build professional networks? And I think we touched on this networking. And also, what role does social media play in personal branding and wealth building? So I think I'll start off with you, the good doctor, on that one, as you did speak on it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, DDC. I mentioned that he wants to know how we can leverage on social media to enhance their skills, right? Is that what the question says? All right. There are people who are already in the social media space and who are already doing well. I talked of mentors, ensuring that you build good relationships. We have the likes of Ntate who is already in the game, so he can be your mentor, because he's going to guide your decisions. He's going to challenge even the way you do your things. Even your ambitious peers that want to grow alongside you, you can make them your partners and ensure that your social media content you learn together to grow together. Thanks.
Ask one of the ladies to also chip in on that one. Mpho. I think she was saying that Thato can go for this one. I don't worry, she has the next question coming.
Okay, so social media, I want to. Social media is a very powerful tool for you to get your name out there, your brand out there. But I know a lot of people are very shy to do that because you start fearing, oh, what will they? Social media. I think there's still many ways you can leverage it without being authentic, without losing your authenticity. Yes. So it's just a matter of you being authentic, being yourself, of course. If you're not, do not feel the pressure of, I get a LinkedIn, post that, no, he doesn't. But anyways, people post and all of that. It's fine. Let them do that, but find something that works for you. Even if it just means maybe once a year you do your reflective post, or you or you repost items just to show that you're present. And the good thing about engaging with other content is it gives a person a view of what are you interested in, without you actually saying something. So social media can be used in so many different ways. I think we sometimes put ourselves under too much pressure because unfortunately on social media, we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. Do it in a way that's authentic to you, engage with other content, and reach out to people who you admire or who you want to learn from in order to gain more knowledge or insight in terms of what exactly it is you're trying to do.
No, thank you very much. Mpho. So I think this one goes to you. And the question did go out to all the panelists, and I would like us to answer it briefly, as much as we can. So it says that, what gives you an emotional stamina to persist when external factors or external motivation fades? Yeah, let's go. And it will be a nice quick fire question, yeah.
Sometimes when the going gets tough, you need to find the purpose of why you are doing something. I remember when we were at law school, there were times when we couldn't, figure out how to go about everything. But then you realize that you start thinking of the purpose of why you are doing this. So if you are able to know your purpose for doing something, and you're also disciplined enough to pursue whatever goals that you have, then that will help.
Purpose and discipline.
Yeah.
Matter.
Being grounded, being able to ground yourself in something that reminds you who you are. Let's say your emotions are heightened, and maybe what keeps you grounded is your family, spending time with your family, such that you can now bring yourself towards yourself, regulate your emotions, and then go back to trying to solve the problem that got you in that heightened state in the first place. Anything can ground you. Maybe people, it's their families. Some people, it's their hobbies. Yes.
So staying grounded. And Mpho?
I'm a firm believer that if I don't move, someone else is stuck. So if I'm not doing what I need to do, there's someone waiting for me. There's someone waiting to be inspired and be motivated in order to move. So that definitely is my biggest push.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to let last 3 questions from the floor, and then we'll be
Yes, the first one is mine.
for the member.
Okay. I'm not allowed. I won't ask a question. I'll make a statement and then I'll take questions. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable.
I feel inspired already, but I want our panelists to say, where do they come from exactly? In brief, because we don't have time, what kind of upbringing? They look all cheesy up there on the stage. Have they always, cheesy cheesy where do you come from, guys? Because we want to know what gave you this motivation. I think now I will take questions.
Thank you. We're going to have just 3 questions.
I will take 1, 2, 3, 4, because I always bend the rules a bit.
Ke lebo nna ka lebitso ke Nkgono Manakotetswane ke tswa Kaya TV hona mo ebile ke etsa lenaneo le bitswang financial literacy, so ke batla ke rata this haholo. Ke a kgona ke tla kena hanyane tabeng ya ntate Ntaga o tlo ntshwarele mme ke tlo kena ho yona just this week, if not yesterday. Ke ne ke bala post ya ntate Sello Makwa. He's a business coach. Are kgweding ena fela ona coacha about 5 people, 5 entrepreneurs. Mme ha se a sheba mathata a bona a baholo were not business related. They were more personal, but they were affecting the business. And these people ended up thinking they need business coaching, while what they needed was probably a life coach or a therapist. So how do you take care of your mental health while you're still running your business? How do you make sure that you balance your life, your business life and your personal life? Because somehow they are intertwined. Potso ya ka ya bobedi e tla ho mme the banker. Ke a kgola nna le wena re tla dumela hore Basotho are not, ha se batho ba tsebang haholo ka banking, ha re e utlwisise. Our common understanding ke hore ke tla lo bula banka because ke se ke fumane mosebetsi, so employer e require hore ke be le karete ya banka e tsebe ho mpatala. But beyond that, we don't quite understand hore na role ya banka ke efeng. And on top of that, o tla hlokomela hore ehlile our people are financially illiterate. So lona le Standard Bank, how do you ensure hore di-client tsa lona are financially literate and we do understand the importance of banking beyond using it just for an employer to pay me? Ke a leboha.
Ke a leboha. Ka lebitso ke Musa ke Mayama. I'm just an accountant, but heck, se at global consultancy. Potso ya ka e ho mme Thato. E nngwe ya tshitiso kapo tiehiso ya go tšhelete e fihle matsong a batho ke nngwe hape hape affectang dikgwebo tsa rona. Ke tla tabeng ena ya nnete ntaga e bohlokwa haholo taba ya line central, taba ya line Standard Bank. Ba bang ba rona re banka Standard Bank akere, but sometimes period out of monetary we have been affected haholo fela. Taba ga ke hape hape gona ke ne ha o shebana maemo a lefatshe ha jwale, dikoporasi di batla di nyoloha ka tsela e phahameng haholo. The use of M-Pesa equal cash around the world. How feel like Kenya of money M-Pesa is a mosebetsi o tswang ke banka. Tjhe mohlomong e tswa ho taba ya Central Bank ya Kenya. But ha re bue tabeng ena ya dikoporasi in terms of empowering, e ka nna bontsha le ba batjha le go bana dikoporasi tsa bona. Some of the dikoporasi, the likes of Budiba cannot have a bank. It has to be underwritten by a bank. And Budiba is my client. I know Budiba. Get client there how. But the beginning it is they didn't have in the why Safi Alliance you transfer the chelate let's lay a whole Muslim Yauleka Fedisale in Mono. How we got the client it's a how. When I can there's a lot of cooperatives still in the Hagat's lepaming a hole. Bamba they end up becoming your competitors. Let's allow blood when I commit you. Why osa empower the client is so unletona usually. But when they can also find cheletos or cooperatives LTT. Elite layos about Yaubla had the because Rona is a business people. We have been affected. So when I was Standard Bank, Utusana want to empower. Number two, only Standard Bank, the two study to comply. Because some of the companies have to comply. In terms of giving an education to some of the companies. Because I'm but I failed to comply. Litusana Juang hope on our Muslomong, Genda Pakisa Kenegene, Lemamoa, a man into money. I mean, money LRA. But can give me with Ramhual. But by doing that, is also empower me. You hold to saw again that because I can but I can see alone. But how can we empower the cooperatives? Galabo.
Ke a leboha bo mme le bo ntate. Ke meet and touch ke tswa Alliance Insurance. While I'm not asking a question, it's probably an input to what Thato has to do with her counterparts in the industry, including us. Because what I'm going to speak to is what is being pushed by everyone in the financial sector. So
in the long term or in the past, the money week or money month has been chasing the unbanked or the unbankable. So my thinking is, Rabanka, we bank them and then we forget about them. So there still has to be education. Those people because they are still not so conversant with the banking industry. Lorna, how does everything within the banking industry work? So how take them through the journey of banking is and this is how much I'll charge you. If I'm bundling you, this is how it will go. You can take your money from your banking app or account over to your M-Pesa or anything. That way, my alliances are the premium. You're going to reduce your lines, man, the ATMO, and then the list goes on and on and on.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think the last question is out. So I think we're going to touch a bit. Some of the questions we're learning as we're discussing now, I think the question in terms of how do you empower cooperatives? We cannot, I think, finish that discussion today. But there are solutions out there that have been provided. And I think some of the things is about making sure that people have ideas about this thing. I'll make an example. There's a platform called Hula, which is about cooperatives management. How do they manage? How can they invest in a transparent way? How can they manage their money in a transparent way? Then the cooperatives as a bank account, has maybe other financial institutions account, but they're able to have such platforms that help manage their cooperatives, because ultimately that's where we want to go. Because people within cooperatives can use their cooperatives to do what they want, and banks are able as well to even lend to cooperatives. One they've seen to say, how does the cooperative use money? How does the cooperative then invest their money? The other element I think that we should have, and I'm happy that we have media here with us, is that maybe we need to start sharing more with you when we're having this, because as yesterday or this week we had Molao Lokwe. The whole idea of it is also to try and empower people to say, how do you comply? How are you part of your journey, and you bring those things to your business? And in future, we're hoping to have this talks where we talked about corporate governance, so that you understand the essence of building your business, not just as a sole trader, but governance in business, so that you're complying RSL everywhere where you need to regulate all of those elements, right? And then those things combined are able to then help you go to a bank or any financial service provider to say, can we collaborate? Because remember that they cannot collaborate outside of the law that governs them. No matter how much we like, we need to always be within the confines of the law. But I feel that this conversation is something that we need to engage more in. I think as a team, we're taking as an assignment to say, how do we ensure that people have access to some of the information we have through things like live stream and other ways, so that we can help as far as we can. Thank you. I think we've tried that. So I think the last two questions will be on the personal and the business, and then you'll touch on the financial literacy. Yeah, thanks.
To answer your question, May, and I'm going to answer on behalf of the company which I represent right now. So we did note, we got a lot of customers coming in, right? Once they've onboarded, they've got their card, we don't engage further. So I just wanted to explain to you that my role is acting head of personal banking. But prior to that, I was actually hired as Standard Bank to be manager entrenchment. Entrenchment, Diki. How do we get people form a deeper relationship with our customers? And we're walking this journey, which we started 2 years ago. Safumane account through our different channels and touch points. How do we communicate with them? About this account in o qualify like and what can it unlock for them further? So it's a journey that we've been walking for some time. We also have teams of people who are on the ground who do offer financial literacy or financial education for the companies they go bang or mo ba bonang hore ho na le tlhoko. So I ke hane we're just one bank, but we're trying to ensure the capability eno ra e hodisa hobane re bone bohlokwa ba hore ha di customer di le teng re ba thuse ho hola within the bank, such that but we're from ha ile ngwana sekolo a khola tjhelete NMDS a utlwisisa hore na ha sa fumane mosebetsi, what must happen, kopa ha ntse a itshebetsa, what must happen, a move up that continuum. Ntse re mo fa di solution tse buang le yena hobane ra utlwisisa hore motho a itshebetsang le motho a kgolang on a monthly basis ha tshwane in terms of na re bua le yena jwang le hore na re mo fa di solution jwang. So it's something we're very, very intentional about doing, and I think we've seen some good positive outcomes from it, and we want to just expand it even more. So yes, the resavers are also as a bank. One, it's a very serious item. Yeah, deepening the relationship is our own.
Thank you, Mpho.
Ke a kgolwa ke qala ka potso ya mme hore na ke tswa kae. Ke ikhudiseditswe ke maqhekwana nna ke ngwana nkgono le ntatemoholo. One of the things that I observed about my grandfather was that he really wanted to pursue business, but on a follow through. And ke a kgolwa I'm triggered how botsa ka hore na o noile mentorship programming o bona hore people that are struggling, it's more than just the resources, that lack of resources. One of the things that I'm researching on for my master's program, ke hore na the entrepreneurs tsa Lesotho, how are they tapping into their psychological resources, capital, in order for us to be able to overcome the challenge? Because we do have a problem of lack of financial resources, lack of social capital, but entrepreneurs are individuals. And ease of mind to say, I do have emotions, okay? But it's one of the things that I'm intentional about to say, how do I overcome, okay? And not get stuck in my problems, but try to overcome. But what I can say is that I'm a faith-based entrepreneur, so I do get my source from somewhere. I'm very intentional about being active at the gym. For me, it's more than just fitness stimulation, but it's about what it does to my mind. I do participate in therapy. It's a non-question for me. It's a non-negotiable. And it seems like luxury, but it's not. Considering now, what do I stand to lose if I don't prioritize these things? So that's where I find my balance. I don't have how can we solve those problems, but I'm trying to find out what can these psychological resources that we know, they're very resilient, but how are we utilizing that resilience in order to help us overcome? So yeah, that's my response.
All right, for the parting shots, is that so for all of you, and then your primary school election. And then the last thing that you should add there is one book that you think has influenced you more than anything. So I'll start off with you because you're already there. Yeah.
Mpho Phakoane, high school matsa
Primary school?
Primary high what was the last question?
One book.
Right now, I've been reading a book called Ego is the Enemy, which is, I would challenge everybody to read it. I think one of the most ego is that haribone, and it manifests a lot in total dieta, and it can ruin a lot. But when we identify where is ego, and ego is I'm not speaking about that ego. I'm speaking about the things that we refuse to admit. They're intrinsically who we are. But so that book definitely is a must read.
Thato Umang, primary school and one book.
Oh, Musia. That's a walk. Hi, so Mamaki. You must show two. Ke ngwanana Denver, ke ngwanana Maseru. Mme wa ka le ntate wa ka are both from Lesotho. Mme wa ka ne le mme ausi a itshwereng hantle haholo a nyetsweng ka motseng. Primary school, batswadi ba ka ke batho ba sebeditseng ka thata haholo. They have more humbler beginnings than me. They turned that into what they've created for me. Ke kene Maseru English Medium Preparatory School. Ke kene Maseru Prep. One book, one of my favorites.
Primary.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's please give the panelists a huge round of applause. And from me, ke mokubungwa ha mama heto komane motho ha mma phela ne none kubu ifata difata na class ke kene sekolo Hermon Primary School le Mantsunyane Primary School kwana ha botna kholo. And the one book that I would encourage all of us to read is Ecclesiastes. And I do hope, ladies and gentlemen, as my parting shot, me and the panelists have earned the privilege of your time tonight. Thank you very much. Thank
you so much. His favorite. So please, Muthanzara Tusa, we are ready to eat. Thank you. Give it up for the CE. On the stage, you can be anything, anytime. Hangata ne re tseba bo di CE le bo mme ba baholo ba ekang bo mme makitchen ha o jwalo. E se le bo ntate Mojope hona jwale ka nnete, and we are proud of that. The future is bright.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike. I've been fortunate enough to be an employee for 3 years. I started an entrepreneur for 3 years, or no, for 6 years, and then I came back. And I would like to say to the lady and the doctor, the best employees because then they get to understand the clients are wanna better. Harifika mesebetsi monana katlore ndadenta kagata mo patala ka mora 30 days. But ha re saka ga sebetsa ka ntle ha go tlisisi hore ndadenta ga o hloka tšhelete o sane. So re tlabe re hloka cash flow projections. Re tlabe re hore re sebetse le a certain supplier ka hloka track record re hloka ntho tse itseng. So I would just like to say to Ntate Teele and to the banker ha re le mesebetsing re hopoleng hore hosane re tlo tloa di-positioneng tseno re tlabe re le strateng le rona re tlameha re iketsetse mosebetsi o bonolo hore di-system tse bonolo tse tla re dumella hore le rona re se re le seterateng re se ke be ra tlatla re complaina ka di-corporate. So taba eno ya hore o tla patala ntaga ka mora 30 days doesn't work. Let's try and find ways to pay Basotho banana ka nako, because ba hloka tjhelete eno no hang. Bona mesebetsing ya rona e khushi, we can afford to pay in 60 days. Bona, they need the money tomorrow. So I think let's appreciate the kind of environment eo re sebetsang ka hara yona. But having said that, kannete, on behalf of the Alliance Group, I would like to thank each and everyone for making time. This is just a precursor to the big event that's coming on Saturday. And I hope each and every one of us here, and Vosi and all other speakers, Saturday, Mantabisen Convention Center. And thank you very much, everyone. And let's enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So remember, this is a pre-event to the Alliance Youth Wealth Seminar, which is on, this will be our 3rd year hosting that epic event. The purpose is to try and ensure our youth have a different mindset than the ones that we had, our parents had. Nobody taught our parents anything about finance, being financially savvy or saving or anything. And the older we grow, we can see the mistakes they made. And because we were raised by them, it's easy to fall into the same patterns. So the purpose is to create youth that see themselves as anything they want to be, and knowing that you have to save. It's not a surprise that we have a partner in this event, which is Standard Lesotho Bank. And to say a few words on behalf of the partner, Renale Me Mahlompo Monari. Give it up for Me Mahlompo. She's probably gonna kill me, so please, how kawana ncheba boso kenadi pake.
Okay, Kalebo Memaiki, that was not part of the script. I think more than anything, the opportunity refuing Alliance Insurance. Horebe Karolo, Yamusabito Mohol, Oiling, Ono Oiting, Bukamo, so really Bana, how one retired Lebacha, Horebe di Heto, Nepahizing. We're inspired. Leka capacity ya mosebetsi empa le ka bomong o le motho o mametse ditaba tse tje ka nnete o khutla o utlwa hore boetapele ba ka moso bo matsong a nepahetseng. So re kopa ba bangata le bona ba kene. There's so many other corporates out there. As Standard Lesotho Bank, we're very intentional about financial literacy. In your different capacities, when and the how I know what bill if it's a man, influencer. We are also very intentional about that. As Standard Lesotho Bank, you'll realize that our content or the management of our social media platforms so you'll see us more in a lot more of these, but Alliance as companies, we must come together and enhance what already exists. And we're really intentional. Partnerships are really who we are. So, so yeah, no holo thank you.
Thank you. And in closing, I would like to appreciate the media houses that, I'm not meant to be talking, so forgive me if I'm not, yeah, it's one of those. In closing, please allow me to appreciate the media houses that joined us tonight. They were carefully selected, carefully. I mean, carefully. serious. It doesn't mean we don't appreciate others, but we wanted to pay particular focus on the media houses that we have seen intentional about, spreading the messages, any message, and also intentional about finance and intentional about youth, intentional about change. So, can I surprise for them while they are waiting to eat because they are starving? You can serve now, chef. I have a surprise for the media houses that are here. Kikopa Kaya TV iatamele, because we have decided they will join the Alliance Youth Wealth Seminar on Saturday, where Vusi Tembeka Ayo will be the main speaker of the day, and we will have a wonderful time. So this is your ticket. It costs 450 maluti to be in that room on Saturday. And of course, we wanted you to remember us so that next year you probably buy a ticket or you just support somehow. That is. That is. Ke bona hantle go tla bona le rona, ke a tseba gore la o ka batho o kacha o tla kopa ntate Matikane ga o kadime sefofane o tswe o khutla on time to attend the event. Ho mabe senyana ke a o leboela mo le tebele. Hint, hint, Standard Lesotho Bank, tate Mtagane a laptop. Ki kopa ho bitsa morena wa ka, morena wa kwana ko unha chere ntate Mogolane Ramainwane. I would like to talk to the panelists on that one. Such a wonderful gentleman. This guy loves to learn. He inspires me. He's always studying. Always studying. At the moment, I think he's pursuing his MBA, or he just completed his MBA. He's always studying something. He did economics, he did law. Now he has an MBA under his belt. You can imagine. The future is bright. He just doesn't want to be a morasetolo. He's a man on his own right. Give it up for Ntate Mogolane. Ke morena wa ka ke tsansele setsa ko unha chair. Would love to see you on Saturday, because we know that if you join us, something good is going to come out of that. The post. The posts, they are always live streaming something, they are always sharing something live. We love what you do, and we would love if you can join us. We are so humble. We don't assume you just want to come. Can you join us? Will you join us? Should I go down on a knee? Will you join us on Saturday? Thank you very much. Last but not least, the famous rebel. The beautiful lady from Ultimate Radio. She's always talking anything youth. So today, because we are doing a youth educational segment, Merabafilo, will you join us on Saturday? We'd love to have you, because we want to grow with you. And this is not just for the station, it's for you as a person. The more you learn, the better you can be, and the more you can do for the youth of this country. So give it up to her. Thank you so much. I will talk more. I will give more people but thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the evening. We have other people. Hey, labana mikotla iso fele akere. Re batla ba je ba ske ba tloa ba wela mona ba tlo nka mikotla. Re ba teng mona mikotla ya lona e teng. Don't panic. Don't panic. Ke a leboha. Round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.